Yeah, I believe in you. I don't believe in lucky sevens. I'm not sure about Loch Ness, but I know I believe in angels. I believe in happiness.
Hello, and good evening. Welcome to another show. I have a brilliant actress and producer with us this evening, and we're going to get to her in just a moment. First, I want to talk about this little thing right here that I use before most of the shows, the Viter Energy mints. These mints are caffeinated. The caffeine in each little mint equals about a half a cup of coffee. It's naturally sourced. It doesn't have any of that yucky aftertaste or anything like that. It's really such a great product. And I have all my information over here of all the different flavors. They have a chocolate mint, peppermint, spearmint, wintergreen, and cinnamon. The cinnamon, if you love cinnamon like I do, this is like just the most refreshing cinnamon, and it's strong. It's like one of those red hots. Oh my gosh, it's so good. So go to goviter.com today and get you some Viter Energy mints. I absolutely love them, adore them. They've been with me for almost 8 whole years as a sponsor. So thank you so very, very much. All right. Well, I hope that you're enjoying some cooler weather, some drier weather. It certainly is here in the Southeast. Out west, it's been awfully hot for fall, but here we are. It's almost Halloween. Get your costumes ready, right? So anyway, I want to go ahead and introduce the wonderful lady that is with us, Jessica Matthews. She's an actor, producer, and writer. Jessica has shot over 50 independent films, been cast in over 30 television roles, spoken at over 200 live events as an on-stage presenter, and performed in over 100 live improv shows. She loves performing both drama and comedy. She has served on pitch panels and on boards of various film festivals. She is a published writer and is pitching projects to various networks. Jessica is president of the Neo Ensemble Theater, a member of SAG-AFTRA and the Television Academy. She is with us tonight to chat about being one of the producers on A&E's Intervention. She also has many other projects such as Side Hustlers, which is a TV series, The Under Movie, and Final Heat. Let's find out more without any further ado, Miss... Oh, hold on. My computer's gone crazy. I've got all these little pop-ups here. Oh, technology. Miss Jessica Matthews, how are you?
Hi, I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing really well. I'm very excited to be connected with you because you have done so much. I mean, those numbers are huge that I was just reading off. So tell me a little bit about just how did you get started? Were you a child actor to begin with?
I was not. I want to start off by saying thank you, though. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm very excited to be here. So thank you. And I actually grew up in the restaurant business. So I worked for my parents starting when I was 7. And I ended up helping run our restaurants as I got older. And I just kind of thought I was going to go that route. So I went to college for business and economics, even though there were years where people were saying like, oh, could you model for me? Or do you want to do this? And I was interested, but I never really got into it until my last semester in college, where I had all these econ courses and I actually had a elective. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to take acting for non-majors. How fun. And my professor said, oh, you're really good. You should audition around town and see what you can get. And I said, oh, okay, I will. And then I started auditioning and I got some roles in local theater and I got a role at the university. And then I said, I'm going to go to Orlando and be an actor and see, if I can get kind of a foundation going, get some stuff under my belt maybe get some footage for a reel and, see where it goes. So that's what I did. And I was in Orlando for a little bit before I moved to LA. And then it was really what I decided that I wanted to do. I did a lot of local movies, Full Sail, UCF, all the stuff in Orlando. And I just loved one of my classes there. Ken Yulo was fantastic. ArtSake, really great schools there. And then I moved out to LA to pursue acting originally. And I started producing as a way to just put myself in things as an actor, which people do.
Wow.
And in 2008, a really good friend of mine said, hey, I have this movie and will you produce it for me? And there wasn't a role in it for me. And I said, well, okay, I'll still do it. And I did it and I really enjoyed it. I love the process. And I said, why do I like this? I'm not in this movie. And I realized that I liked the process of producing. And it's still, you're telling a story. So you're telling a story from start to finish. And whether or not, I was in it, I still loved that whole process of storytelling.
Isn't it interesting when you look at everything that goes into building yourself as an actor and being in front of the camera, and then stepping back and just looking at the fascinating world of behind the lens? There's so much going on that I'm not surprised that you got into it, because you come off as being very intellectual, very equipped with doing anything that you want to do. So I've heard that, you've been awarded on many of your films that you've been a part of, you've created, you've written. What is the most exciting part of launching that project? Is it the first run, or is that more nerve-wracking than it is exciting?
I think a lot of it is being part of a team, and really, if it's not like my story, if it's someone else's story, taking that story, really working together, honing in on the script, seeing what we can do to, make it even better than it already is, finding the right cast, really, and you see the people who read for it in that moment, and they're just, that they're the best people for those roles, and you're just hoping that they're available for your shoot days. And just all of that, even just being on set, there's an energy to it. Working with fantastic crew members and, department heads, DPs, production designers, everyone who really wants this whole vision to come together and everyone working as a team. I think that's a lot of it. Obviously when you're done with it and you can take it out and you can show the world and you're sharing this story with an audience, hopefully an international audience, that's really exciting as well. I just feel like a lot of it is the teamwork, though. I think that's what is probably the most exciting part of it for me.
Where were you able to meet the contacts? I know that there's a lot of actors and actresses in the industry. They may be all over the United States, they may be in Los Angeles, but what is the best way to network and be able to make the contacts? Because it's certainly hard on the production side of it to have a wonderful piece. Maybe you've already produced it as more of a look-see than, a final product. But how do you get networked in to the more, actual creator side than the actor side?
Into the creating, creating, I feel like a lot of that can sometimes stem from if you're an actor in an acting class and you know that you need something for your reel, or you have an idea, or things spark in different situations like that, such as classes. And I know that that's happened for me, where I'm talking to someone and it's, they say, oh, I really need something for my reel. I really want to be seen as this. And, you can kind of talk and develop about what they want to be seen as, what roles they want to play and why, and get down to the why of why they want to do it. I think that's really important. I've also been a member of a theater company, Neo Ensemble Theater, and I think it's great to be able to get, works read out loud So having, writers are a part of that group as well.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing writers, having writers who need actors to read their material out loud, and that can form a collaboration to where maybe a writer says, hey, I really want to direct this, or I want to find a director for this. And you've already read it, you killed it on stage. Like, you would be a great person to actually, perform in this. Are you interested? So I see those sort of collaborations happening throughout, not just with theater companies, but also on set. There might be people who, maybe there's an art director who wants to start being, they want to start working as a production designer, or maybe there's a camera person who wants a shot as a DP, and maybe someone has a low budget project and they're wanting to get that done and developed, and maybe those people collaborate and work on something altogether different, and those relationships form, I feel like, just by talking and communicating to other people and about what they want to do. And a lot of times I've seen people with just similar interest about certain topics, and they come together and they make beautiful work. So
that's very encouraging. There's a lot of people out there that, they feel that, the actor bug, they just want to get out there and they learn the craft, and they go to all the classes, they go to the workshops, and they get the projects. And then all of a sudden you grow, right? You grow and you expand and say, you know what? I'd really like to maybe try that. And just to know that you can communicate with each other, that it really is a very close-knit network. And you never know, you can communicate, oh, you know what? I'd really love to be a DP on a project. And somebody will say, oh, you know what? I know who you should talk to. And it's one person after the other, after the other. So I love that, because I think what you said there really expands the minds of people that maybe feel a little stuck, like they don't know what to do. Just talk about it, right? So let's talk about, I'm sorry.
Oh, I said exactly.
Let's talk about your project that we have first up for the evening to talk about. It's the Under movie. And what I love about your projects, I'm just going to interject this blanket it over all the projects we're going to talk about tonight. They have a heart to them. They have a purpose to them. And this one definitely does. Would you mind telling us a little bit about the Under movie?
Yes. So the Under movie, you go to theundermovie.com. There you go. So this is a story that a friend of mine, Alora Charles, is the writer-director. She had the idea for this. And I'll tell you a little backstory on how I met Alora. We were in a coffee shop, and I had my son with me, and she had her son with her. And she's like, you have a son, I have a son, we should be friends. And I said, okay. And so we started just hanging out. Sometimes it's that easy as with your mom tribe, and sometimes it's way more difficult, but we became friends. And later on, I shared with her my story of how I lost my first son. I had a stillborn son. I was almost 9 months pregnant. And she shared with me that she had gone through postpartum with her son. So we talked a little bit about, our experiences. And I told her that, it would be great to be able to kind of share these on a bigger level. And she said, well, I have this idea. And she told me the story about about the mom, who was struggling with postpartum depression. And then she had the idea for another mom to connect with her. And there's a mom who's escaping human trafficking, who actually hides underneath the other mom's house. And she ends up hearing her struggling with PPD. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to create a movie that was realistic to those who have been suffering with these things. So we worked with Maternal Mental Health Now, which is an organization who we went to their board. We did a script reading for their board, and they approved our script. And then that was Aaron Sharoon. And then we also went through, so we knew that we had their approval for as far as, the story went. And then we also worked with Dottie Laster at Human Victim Trafficking Central. So it's she works as a person who works with people who have been trafficked, who are escaping that. And she brought it to some people who've actually escaped human trafficking, and they were like, yes, this is realistic, this would really happen. So we really worked with them. They really helped us by championing the script and just giving their support on that. And we had a lot of support from moms and other community people who said, hey, we'll donate, Starbucks, Coffee Bean, we'll donate, coffee for your crew day on this day. And we had moms make food for us, and we had a lot of donations. It was just lovely. And they all knew what we were doing in the story. And so now we've been doing the festival circuit for a while, and we're just hoping this next phase, we obviously wanted to get it out there in the festival circuit, but the even bigger picture of it is we would like to get it out there into doctors' offices and have people be able to utilize it as a tool to help others.
Wow. What a story. My goodness. I mean, I think a lot of people en masse, when you say postpartum depression, they think of the hormonal issues that we incur after giving birth, right? Because our hormones are trying to regulate as best as they can, and you never know what's going to be a little elevated, what's not, going to be sufficient to be able to maintain just even streamlined thought. But then too, I mean, and you shared with us that you had a stillborn baby. That's a whole nother level. I mean, that is depression on top of postpartum depression.
Yes.
How did you overcome? I mean, how did you find a way out of that darkness?
I felt that when I shared my story with others, it really, really helped. So that's partly why making this movie was important to me. So I would share my story, and then I found out, our old neighbor, he said, oh, my mom had a stillborn before me, and I wouldn't be here if that hadn't happened because my parents didn't want more than 2 kids. And I talked to people who said, oh, I had 3 miscarriages before having my child now. And I mean, I had people say, oh, well, I just had a miscarriage. That's not as bad as what you went through. And I was like, whoa, like losing any child at any stage is awful. So I wanted people to be able to share that and know that they weren't alone. And that's what we're hoping to do with the movie, is get it out there on a big scale, help other people open up those dialogues and that communication, and just certain things of like advocating for yourself, because I really had to do that. And, I was, and then I kept hearing, oh, you're okay. You're okay. And, to let people know, like, it's okay to say no. I mean, I have a 7-year-old now, and he's wonderful. And we had, he actually was born 3 months early. And so he was in the NICU for 78 days. So I had to do a lot of advocating with him as well. And I had to say, no, I don't agree with you. I'm going to the hospital right now. Something is wrong. And I was right. So I feel like moms, a lot of times, especially if it's their first pregnancy, they just listen to doctors, and I just want people to know, like, it's okay to say, I think you're wrong. It's okay to get a second, a third opinion, a fourth opinion. And I think it's really important that people do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm a mother of 5, and absolutely. Anytime you feel like that's not sitting right with me, the mother knows. We know. So yes, the beautiful, wonderful words for people to hear, and especially in our first pregnancy. We're so nervous. We just feel like we don't even know what's going on. We don't, and you worry about everything. I can remember painting. We were moving because we were in an apartment, so we bought a townhouse when I was pregnant. And I was using latex paint. It wasn't oil-based paint, but using latex paint to paint the walls in the kitchen. And all of a sudden I started crying, and I'm like, I'm a bad mother. I shouldn't have been painting, because I had read the label on the can, and it said, if you're pregnant or nursing, don't get it on you, or whatever the label said on the can, and just broke down. And I just, wow. You have come so far, and it's always a piece of you, you know? Wow. Wow. So I do have the website pulled up. Would you like to show the trailer so that people can get more of an idea? Because on first thought, I think some people may shy away from it thinking, oh, this is going to be way too hard to watch. What do you say to that?
I say that, it's in the end, it's really a story about two moms connecting. It does, I mean, it's still, I've seen it a ton of times. It still makes me cry. But it's a lovely piece and it has a really great ending. So I feel like if you, even if I just met a mom recently, went to the Burbank International Film Festival and we've gone to a lot of fests recently and I've talked to women who haven't had kids and they've said, hey, my friend that was struggling in this other state, and I'm like, send them the movie, let them know that other people have gone through this. And I was like, tell her she can write me if she wants, like, where, there's organizations to help. Like, so I feel like that's going to help destigmatize it, is when people do watch and when they do realize, oh wow, yeah, I could send this to my friend who is in need.
That's a wonderful thing and a beautiful point. There's so much stigma even today around just the word depression. When if people would just step outside of their box, of their world for a moment, to realize that it is normal, that everyone is touched by depression at some point in your life. Everyone. So there really shouldn't be a stigma about it, especially postpartum depression. So I can't wait to watch this. So let's bring this up solo to the screen so that we can see a good view. And this is the Under movie trailer.
Boop, boop, boop. A boop, boop, boop. Because you're not taking me seriously. I tried so hard to have this baby and I don't even recognize myself. Ma'am, give yourself the baby.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Thanks. Yeah, that was, I mean, part of it that's so cool is the one mom who really, she has like everything to lose. She ends up helping, the other mom. And she really, it's like, oh, is she going to go in there? It's, this moment where you're hoping, but you're a little nervous for her. But yeah, we're grateful for Dottie at Trafficking Victim Rescue Central and Maternal Mental Health Now and our supporters who've helped, us with the movie. So yeah.
Oh, beautiful. And we've all been there. The uncontrollable crying, the husband coming in saying, "Why are you crying?" "I don't know." Gosh.
I was just, my lack of sleep was hard for me. I was like, okay, I needed to sleep. I was just, I need my rest. So when I wasn't getting it, I was just like, I can't function,
Right.
I literally felt like I could just fall over.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. My goodness. It is one of the hardest. I don't see it as a job. A lot of people describe motherhood as a job, but in that tone, just to use the word, it is the hardest job anybody could have. And it's the most impactful.
Mhm.
Each
Yeah.
one of these, whether they are angel babies or they are babies we get to raise, they all have an impact. And that's a beautiful piece of work. And you have another piece of work, Side Hustlers, which is also about women. It's not about motherhood, though. Tell us a little bit about Side Hustlers.
So Side Hustlers is it is a show that is that I did with Hello Sunshine. That's the production company, and it's out on Roku. We did seasons 1 and 2, and essentially it follows female entrepreneurs who've created something in the world of tech, pet care, apparel, all these different worlds. They bring their idea and pitch their idea to two big time female investors, Emma Grade and Ashley Graham, and they decide who they want to mentor over the course of 8 weeks. And we follow their stories. And then at the end of the mentorship, they have certain pillars they have to hit along the way. And at the end of the mentorship, they come back, they do a repitch, and they say, hey, here's where I was, here's where I am now, here's where I'm going. Are you on board? And then some of them get big investments in their companies. So it's lovely to see a lot of the women are wives, moms, they have a 9-to-5, and then they have their side hustle. So a lot of them are just really working around the clock to try to get their side hustle as their main hustle. So it was a lot of fun. I worked with a lot of, our showrunner was a female. I worked with a lot of women. And I was telling you, one day we were out and we were filming, and there was a little girl who walked by. We were outside, and she said, "Oh, I want to do that when I get older." And I was like, "Yeah, that's awesome." And we were talking to her, and then I looked, and it was all women at that moment in our group and our crew, from sound, camera to everything. And I thought, I just pulled everyone aside. I said, "Do you see this? This is so cool." And just worked with a lot of amazing people. We had multiple teams on that show, and every team was fantastic. And it was just a really amazing experience.
Have you had, well, I was going to say, have you had any businesses that tried to make corrections and weren't quite successful? Or is that more of the vetting program, the vetting process that you have to be able to make it to the show?
Yeah, so there is a vetting process to make sure that these are, like viable products, that, okay, who are the founders? What is, everything gets looked at, their business, and, everyone is people, of course, but it's very, yes, I saw some things happen along the way where people did not want to necessarily take the advice. And we'll have to see what happens, but they may or may not have gotten an investment due to just, sometimes it's hard. It's your baby, right? It's your business, it's your thing. Sometimes it's really hard to adjust that, or like, I've already bought all of this inventory. How am I going to change it? Or how am I going to, right? It's hard. It's like, oh, do I go with this? I think they probably know, but how do I go with them and what they are saying to me? I think it's hard for people, because I feel like if you ask 50 different people the same question, you could get 50 different answers, right? So it was a great process, though. It was really so many of them were just so on it as far as their businesses go and what they were doing. And it was really fun to see them come prepared, because I would give them like what they needed to do, and we'd, do all that. But I was like, oh my gosh, are they going to do it? Are they going to come prepared? I want to see, and they really did great. So, yeah.
That sounds like a very interesting process to watch. And I'm going to say that's not going to be easy, because I know a lot of business owners. I am a business owner of multiple different companies. And it's, once you get to that point to where you have your business license and you're functioning to a degree, that's your baby. And then you're going to a consultant that's saying, we need to change the baby. And you got to be battling some personality and egos and a whole bunch of stuff, because it's only once you're in your groove and you have some age behind you of being an entrepreneur, are you really then open to that criticism of saying, let's take you to the next level. Let's do this, this, and this. But goodness, I mean, so I guess off of that thought, are these brand new business owners, or do they have some years behind them, or is it just a variation?
It's a variation. Some people kind of had just gotten into it. I know a couple of the people, they might have had like a prototype, versus having the actual product ready in hand. I mean, it was everything from sauces to, an app to, like pet beds and pet care, shampoo. There were things like, underwear, like diapers and kits for babies for when you go to hotels, and period care. So it was a lot of there were a lot of really unique businesses, and some of them have been going for a while, but some of them just really needed that boost to help get them to the next level, like you said.
Now, are you still in production of more shows of Side Hustlers, or are you casting?
Well, we are hoping to get picked up for season 3. So if everyone, wants to watch, that'd be great. But yeah, I mean, it was the #1 show on Roku. People seem to really love it. So I really hope we get a pickup. That would be awesome.
Oh, that's great. Well, I just put your email up there. Is that what you logged in with? Is that what you want to share? I should have asked. You wanted to share it. So I was like, oh, now is a great time for people to email you. What is the best way to contact you? Because if anybody's watching and they're like, oh, that's perfect for me, I want to find out more. Is there a best way to contact you?
Yeah, if they want to write me, I'm on LinkedIn, or they can write me through, the different like movies, we're like the Under Movies on Instagram at the Under Movie, Black, White, and the Grays at Black, White, and the Grays, or my personal is J Matthews Actor through Instagram. Those are all great ways. And I love the Side Hustlers trailer. That's so good. But it's a really fun show. I really hope people watch and, reach out if they enjoy it. That'd be awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that. Yes, I've noticed that you also have jessicamatthews.com. So, people can go there. They can find all your links and things like that. Okay, good. So we got that settled. I saw the email and I'm like, oh, let me put the email up there really quickly as people might contact you. So I'm sorry I jumped ahead on that thought.
It's okay. It's okay.
Now, talking about some of the productions that you've worked in and co-produced, the next one that I have in mind that I'd love to talk about, because this is another one that is true to most people's heart. We all know someone who has been addicted, is battling addiction, is sober and trying to stay sober. And this one is A&E's Intervention. Would you mind telling me a little bit about the episodes that you were producing in and what you experienced with that? Because that, I can't even imagine. That had to be very rewarding of a project.
Yes. So we have interventions on A&E, as you stated. This last season was season 25, and we worked with couples, which actually it was a little difficult to cast and figure out, because sometimes you might have a family from one side, but you don't have the other family. So getting people on board to participate, as well as both sides of the family, proved to be a little hard to cast. But people a lot of times will submit their loved one to the show. They say, hey, I know my son is struggling, my daughter, whoever it is struggling, and we really need your help. One of the really cool things is that a lot of people, they don't get to see the kind of behind the scenes stuff where even if there are people who don't get selected for the show, we still will help them, send them resources, try to, follow up with them, see how they're doing, things like that. And we also, the people who are selected and they do decide to go to treatment, they're given a 90-day inpatient stay, which is a huge gift, right? But a lot of them end up staying a lot longer.
Right.
A lot of times these treatment centers, I mean, they're just so wonderful. They might scholarship them for up to a year, especially if someone's doing really well in the program. So it really gives them that opportunity to not just work through the trauma and have the tools, which is a huge part of it, obviously. But should they choose to stay, a lot of them will have a lengthier time where they might be able to stay longer and work even, on more stuff. Part of the problem is, that you would see sometimes if someone maybe goes to jail and they get out and they use as much as they were using prior.
Mm.
And that runs the risk of them, hurting themselves or ODing and not being here anymore. So we don't let them know who we are. We because part of the whole thing is that if someone thinks, oh, intervention's coming next week, it's like, oh, well, great, I'm going to be sober next week. So then we run the risk of them thinking that, I'm going to do as much as I possibly can this week before I get sober. And we don't want that to happen. We want them to, just not, it's kind of like, oh, I'm going to go out with a bang before I get sober. And we don't want that to happen. So the main thing is just talking to people, learning about their stories. When we're there, we're reaching out, we're talking to people, we're sharing their stories, whatever they want to share, and then at the end of it, their family comes in and comes with love and says, hey, we love you. I remember these great times we used to have. Will you go get treatment? And most of the time, I mean, I'd say 99% of the time people go. So I feel like they kind of realize what they're doing isn't working. And sometimes when something isn't working, sometimes it's, hey, let's just try a change. Just try it, and all the treatment centers are really catered towards those individuals. So if someone is a real outdoorsy person, we'll look for a center that will really be something they are interested in going to, right? We want to, they love the beach. It's like, look, you're going to be bringing her to the beach, So it gives that kind of a little bit of an enticement to say, oh, okay, well, I think I could do this. So we try to cater it to each person individually. And we've had some really, really great success stories happen over the years. And it's just so awesome to see, like, I always focus on the success stories because we do have a lot of them. And, we just want everyone to do well and enjoy life, right? That's a lot of it. It's just like be themselves, enjoy life. So, yeah. And we ask the family to go too. We say, hey, if they're going to make a change, this dynamic, obviously isn't working in the family. And, families, we ask them to go to Nar-Anon or Al-Anon in order to change the way their behaviors are, change the way they talk to, their loved one. So how can they make a change also? And how can they support that person and be in a strong support system versus, not.
Wow. Talk about helping not just a person, but a group of people break those generational deficiencies, if you will. My goodness, I had no idea that it went that deep, that you have someone that's trying to get clean, like you said, and you try to put them where they can find they're happy. And so if they love the beach, you find a facility near the beach. I had no idea. That is just absolutely amazing. Do you ever have to, you have family members, right? But how do you know which family members will come into the intervention and not get heated with the conversation, not just start yelling and screaming and getting overly emotional with it?
There's a pre-intervention that happens with the interventionist. So it's a really, really important part of the process. And we ask everyone to participate in that as well as the intervention. So it's a process where they learn about, hey, what are you going to say? This is how you write your letters. This is what's going to happen if they get upset. We want so and so to be the one to comfort them. So there's a whole kind of plan in place. So and people have to realize that they need to come from a place of love and not blame, because if they don't, it's not necessarily going to work, especially if they're a big part of that person's life. And I've had people who hit me. I said, look, if you don't have to exactly say what you did. If you can come here and say, hey, I'm sorry, it doesn't even have to be like super specific. I'm so sorry for what I did, such and such years ago, whatever. I love you. I'm so sorry. Will you please go? And I've seen people just totally break down. And that was all they needed to hear was like, that was it. I was wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And it can make the biggest difference.
Oh,
biggest
absolutely.
difference. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. People can carry that for an entire lifetime of just saying, I know my so and so was sorry, but they never said it. Now, does the show also work with children that have addictions or only adults?
It's only adults.
Okay.
Yeah, 18 and over. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. When I was a kid, knowing someone who is addicted to something wasn't quite as prevalent as it is today. And I'm really happy that there are interventions such as this. I know this one is televised, but there has to be so many others. And just it's been eye-opening in the past couple of years. As I said, I have 5 kids, right? So my 2 oldest are in their 20s. And in the middle school, we didn't have an issue with drugs. In the high school, sure, a lot of kids were smoking weed. That was about it. And just in a short amount of time, their sister's 5 years younger. And in our middle school, we have fentanyl, we have weed, we have cocaine, we have meth. And then into the high school, we've had students collapse in the bathroom from overdosing. And people might say, well, where do you live? I live in an affluent North Atlanta suburban area, what they would call the good area. So if it's in my schools, it's in all the schools.
Yes.
And this is so very important. So thank you for sharing about that. Thank you for being a part of it. I mean, your heart and personality of caring and giving is really under the spotlight right now, because all of these, just the projects that we've talked about so far, they're so heartfelt. And do you find that you have more motivation, more focus to get up and go to work when you're working on something such as this?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's very, I tend to, I realized kind of recently, I think that a lot of my things I do are, they're kind of to get people talking and get people communicating, which I always knew. I love doing stories that either pulled at the heartstrings, or really made people think or talk about, different things. Uh, so I love that, but I'm really realizing, yes, that a lot of these movies or TV shows are ones that get people to talk and communicate. So, and yeah, we haven't touched on the Black, White, and the Grays, but that's a movie about an interracial couple who is struggling in their marriage. They're dealing with everything 2020 together, and we take a very middle of the road approach. And what's really interesting is people have seen it who are who were in the middle, people who were far left, far right, and we've had people say, I never really thought about it that way, or I never really looked at it like that. And I just love, you're getting, us to talk about these subjects. And or someone said, were you a fly in the wall of my living room? Because I swear I had that discussion with my wife. So those are always fun things to, get people to do. Like, I feel like art is a way to get people to communicate and get people to talk. And especially if something really strikes someone. I love that.
Oh, for sure. So let's talk about Black, White, and the Grays. You just gave us a little bit of the overview, but I've seen how many awards it has already won. And there again, like, this is a very interesting topic because he even here in Atlanta, where we have a lot of different racial backgrounds all in one area. I think a lot of our cities are that way today, but when it is a Caucasian male or female with a African American, when those two are together, it still turns a lot of heads. And it's annoying because, we want to just look and go, it is 2024. Can we understand that people are people and we all come with a certain aptitude of intelligence and heart and feeling and lifestyle, and it's blended now. So does that go further into the topic of Black, White, and the Grays?
Yes. So it's this couple is going through everything 2020. It's COVID. It's Black Lives Matter. It's all the things, and they're realizing that their views don't necessarily 100% line up the way they thought they did. So it's kind of about how not everything is always black and white. Sometimes you have to learn to live in the gray. And that's their last name in the movie as well, the Grays. So it's it has a great ending. It's a really heartfelt piece, and I think it did help a lot of people communicate. So I love that.
I love that one. All right, so and where can we watch Black, White, and the Grays?
It's out on Amazon. It's on Tubi, YouTube, Google Play.
Okay, great. Black, White, and the Grays. All right, now the next one I have queued up is Final Heat. Tell us a little bit about Final Heat, please.
So Final Heat is a story about a married couple who they're struggling with their gym, and they decide to recruit some people to compete in a competition in order to hopefully make money to save their gym. And these are really great athletes. It's a really, in the end, it's a story about, there's love and relationships, and it's really a story about teamwork and perseverance. And it's a great message as well, I feel like. And I just loved working with that team and really, showcasing the sport of it was really interesting and fun, but also showing that teamwork and how everyone comes together. So I don't want to give too much away, but
okay. So now, is this one to be released, or has it already been released?
It's actually been released. So it's on Amazon, Google Play, Apple TV, YouTube, Fandango. It's at Final Heat Movie on Instagram.
Okay. All right. So this one, in comparison, is a little bit more of that fun. They're working together, and all of those topics come to light. But it's a little bit more lighthearted.
Yeah, there's definitely drama. There's some struggles between team members, and will they make it? Will they won't? Someone from the past comes back to kind of put his hat in the ring, and then you see those dynamics interchange. And is he going to kind of put a wrench in their plans, or is he actually going to help the team? So,
okay. All right. Yeah, that's very interesting. I mean, there's a lot of people that would get into that. I mean, I think everybody understands the gym, so there's got to be some of that atmosphere here in there too. Uh, Now, just looking at all these projects, and they all conclude with a meaning. They all carry a meaning. If you could work on any project in the future, what would be the topic that you would really like to get into next?
Ooh, I'm working on a project that's it's a feature, and it's about a teenage cyclist, and really the message is about um, he's struggling with some mental health things, and it's really about not taking medication, finding other ways like of getting out and exercising, and finding other ways to combat what he's going through. So I love that story. We're raising funds for it right now, and you know, really, I mean, I I love that piece, and then I have some TV shows that I've been doing some decks and sizzles for, and hoping that things pick up a little bit in 2025, and hopefully networks are looking to buy some new content. So love to be pitching and doing more projects with friends. So that would be awesome.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, I wish you the very best of luck. And what you have here is just a wonderful list that we have seen through this show of very heartfelt, meaningful projects. And I just absolutely love that. I'm finding that I'm being a little bit pickier with my TV shows and my films, because my time is really precious. So when you sit down in front of a episodic and go, oh, it's the same thing. It's the same void of just characters and storyline, and I just won't watch it. But all of these shows that we have talked about today has my attention all the way through, because it's real life. And I love how you touch real life in the positive. You're turning out positive situations where you look at A&E's intervention, and how to help people grow and mature in their business with side hustlers and so on. Postpartum depression, my gosh, I think every mother, no matter if it was for a day or for weeks, months, we've all felt it. And you're reaching out to so many people. So thank you so much. This has been really well spent, precious time with you. And I'm so thrilled that you had time for me to come onto the show tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm grateful for what you said, and just grateful to reach out to audiences, and I hope people will watch, and I really appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Jessica. And please let me know when you have something new coming out that we can talk about. I know there's a lot of NDAs. There's a lot of things you can't say until the time is right. But when the time is right, please let us know, because I'd love to have you on the show again.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Have a wonderful evening, Jessica.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everybody, so much for watching the show. I see you're engaged over here, and I just love that even after 8 years, you're still watching the show, and you tell me all the time when you're coming on next. And it's because I have beautiful guests such as Jessica Matthews. Make sure that you look into her, look her up on IMDb, jessicamatthews.com, and also stay tuned for another great show. We are blessed. You are blessed. Mwah! I love you.